The RTX 4090 is the most powerful consumer graphics card we have tested to date, but because of the steep price, I would only recommend it to those who want the very best for their system or content creators who need a powerful graphics card to get their work done. And that is why the RTX 4080 is appealing to more people, is slightly more affordable, but still a powerful graphics card that is more reasonable for most users out there. In this video, we'll be showing you the results of our test with the RTX 4080 Founders Edition against its predecessor, the RTX 3080, the RTX 3090 and the RTX 4090, so you can have a better idea of what you can expect from the RTX 4080. And by the way, when we say RTX 4080, we mean the RTX 4080 16GB VRAM variant. The 12GB VRAM variant was unannounced by Nvidia after a severe backlash. Keep that in mind and let's get started. For the test, we are using the Intel Core i9-12900K, Asus ROG Maximus Z690 Apex, and Kingston Fury Beast RGB DDR5 memory kit, mainly to minimize the chance of bumping into any performance bottleneck. The power supply required for the RTX 4080 is lower than the RTX 4090, and a decent 850 watt should be able to handle it without any issues. Of course, we still recommend going for a new power supply that comes with a 12V high power, 12V HPWL cable if you don't feel comfortable using the included adapter. And it'll also look much nicer than the adapter, which is the spaghetti monster itself. So let's get started with the games benchmark. We have tested a handful of games with all the graphics card used for this comparison, all the way from 1080p to 4K resolution using the highest possible settings, DLSS quality preset if allowed. And of course, the main reason why you're getting this card is mostly for game at 4K resolution. No surprise, this is where the RTX 4080 shines the most, and it's reaching mostly 80 to 100 average FPS range and a reasonably high 1% low across all the titles we have tested. Well, except for Metro Exodus at 66 FPS on average with all the settings maxed out. With the RTX 4080, CPU bottleneck issues are very minimal. Unlike what we have encountered with the 4090, titles like Deathloop, Watch Dogs Legion are looking fine this time around. Be it pure raster performance or ray tracing performance with DLSS 2, the RTX 4080 gets the job done really well and easily beats the previous gen RTX 3080 and 3090 by quite a margin, and that's quite a substantial improvement on Nvidia's part. Since the card is capable of pushing 4K resolution, you don't have to worry about 1440p and 1080p performance. Personally, I'll say it's not a wise decision to buy a card that costs you almost $1,200 for 1080p gaming. As for games benchmark with DLSS 3, thanks to Nvidia, we got our hands on even more early builds of games with DLSS 3 support too. Keep in mind, these test builds are not the final product, so the impact that DLSS 3 bring may differ by time you get to enjoy DLSS 3 on these games. We recommend these settings if you're using an RTX 4080 and RTX 4090 for the best experience. 4K resolution, high graphics settings, highest of course, ray tracing enabled, DLSS performance preset, DLSS frame generation enabled. That's what DLSS 3 is all about. And for games like Cyberpunk, Forged in Shadow, Torch, or FIST for short, Destroy All Humans 2, Reprobe, Microsoft Flight Simulator, and Tower Fantasy, yes, Tower Fantasy, are some of the games that support DLSS 3. The game looks great at 4K resolution and is actually playable with the graphics settings set to the highest and with ray tracing enabled. Now, moving on to the synthetic benchmarks. The RTX 4080 takes a big lead against the previous gen RTX 3080 and 3090. For the popular 3D Mark benchmarks, we can see the RTX 4080 easily scores about 30% better than the RTX 3090 and around 45% better than the RTX 3080, which is still quite a feat, I'll say. As for the benchmark that is more focused on rendering work, in example, V-Ray benchmarks, Octane Bench 2020, and Blender benchmark, the RTX 4080 easily overpowers the RTX 3080 and 3090 by up to 80% and 50% respectively. And with the 16 gig worth of VRAMs, you can do quite a lot with the RTX 4080 as compared to the RTX 3080 with 10 gigs or 12 gig VRAMs, depends on the variant you're getting. Now for the thermals and power draw. I'm not really surprised after seeing what the RTX 4090 can deliver. The highest load temperature recorded for the RTX 4080 is at 65 Celsius on the GPU and 77 Celsius on the GPU hotspot, with the GPU thermal limit set at 83 degrees Celsius. Overheating is very unlikely to happen on the RTX 4080 Founders Edition right here. Although it does come with a rated TDP of 320 watts, the RTX 4080 barely draws over 300 watts when it's used only for gaming most of the time. And the only time it draws close to 320 watts is when we are running synthetic benchmarks. And in terms of power efficiency, we have prepared a simple graph for this, and heck, I didn't really expect the RTX 4080 to be this efficient. Now for the final thoughts. Be it for gaming or content creation work, the RTX 4080 is what I consider as the alternative to the RTX 4090. The RTX 4080 is another great GPU from Nvidia this time around, and because the CPU bottleneck is very minimal throughout our test, I'd say it's more reasonable option this time if you're not going for the latest gen Core i9 or Ryzen 9. Personally, I don't have anything to complain about the card when it comes to the performance. The only complaint I have is still the included adapter, which is going to be a pain when it comes to cable management. So I recommend getting a power supply that comes ready with the new 12V HPWR cable, especially for those who don't feel comfortable with the included adapter. Now for the price. Although the official launch price is set at about $1,200, we have sources telling us that the price is going to be around 7,000 ringgit range when it's finally available here in Malaysia. So it's quite difficult for us to recommend it if the price is going to be really close to the RTX 4090, because you might as well get the RTX 4090 if the price difference is very little. Of course, I will recommend it still if you manage to find one that costs under the price of 7,000 ringgit, because it's a very powerful GPU still for that price. We're also in a dilemma. Currently, you can get an RTX 3090 brand new from the partners at about 6,000 ringgit, which is a lot cheaper than the expected price for the RTX 4080 if it's gonna be at 7,000 ringgit range. The RTX 3090 is definitely not as powerful as the RTX 4080, but is it worth paying extra for the RTX 4080? That's up to you. So that's pretty much it for the video this time. Will you get the RTX 4080 or you rather spend more and get the RTX 4090 instead? Do let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Until next time, take care and stay safe because our entire office just got COVID and we are recovering from it.